Good morning and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semwe with a bevy of topics for this morning. Just as Moses Kaule would say, Moses Kaule is still in the studio and he's the one who usually says we have a bevy of topics. And indeed we have not so much a bevy of topics. We mainly have two main topics and they are here. The guests are here. We have the ever optimistic Joseph Otieno. Joseph is in the studio already. You're most welcome to Joseph. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang, Joseph.
You cannot be surrounded by power, energy, fuel, optimism in the energy sector, and you cannot become the number one optimist of the nation. So it's my job to drive this, and you drive it too fantastically. Thank you.
Thank you. I should tell our listeners as well, Happy Easter. Derek Wande.
And Happy Easter, fellow citizens.
Yes, Derek Wande is in the studio as well. You're most welcome to Gang, Derek.
Always a pleasure being here, Oscar. And
yes.
I see the bevy of topics are going to be discussed by the people who know.
Well, technically, we don't have a bevy. We have two.
Two, yes.
But because Moses is here,
they become a bevy.
They become a bevy. Yes, the weight of the topics. Abdu Katuntu is somewhere lurking about, but we have our first guest, and I think this is the first time he's ganging with us, Mr. Tony Otoa. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Oscar. It's actually my second time.
Your second time?
Yeah.
I wasn't here?
You weren't here. I think there was a mini coup. So, but it's a pleasure being back, and thank you so much for hosting.
Yeah, good. The fuel man. It's good to have you because we've been speculating and so on. So I thought, and you know, I reached out to the ministry first.
Yes.
And they said, no, you go to UNOC. And they said, UNOC will tell you whether we have fuel or not.
You've got a good candidate.
Yeah.
You've got a good representative. He passes near me usually.
Indeed. Indeed.
But the big thing is we need to find out if we have fuel.
Yes.
But we also have a big guest, another big guest. He's a man of electricity. He's not in my good books today because in the middle of my shower this morning, very early, the rain came down and the wet water went cold. Wah! So I have Mr. Paul Mwesugwa in the studio, the ED of Uganda Electricity Distribution, UEDCL Company Limited. Yes. And as I said, Abdu has been lurking around. Good morning, Honorable Abdu Katuntu. And welcome to Gang. Yes. So let's start with Mr. Tony Otoa. Last week, after some discussion on Gang, I saw Gang was under fire on social media, saying the gangsters don't seem to know how much fuel is used in Uganda. So how much fuel do we need in Uganda per day?
So let me just do it as a week. On average, we need about 7 million liters of combined product. That is petrol, diesel, and jet fuel.
7 million liters over 7 days.
Yes.
Right. On average, 1 million liter per day.
Yes.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. So again, you know, I've been looking at a lot of social media saying we are running out of fuel because someone goes to their petrol station and it's showing nothing, and then they get so stressed about it and then say there's no petrol or fuel in the country. But truth be told, we have actually, as compared to any African country today, or even international countries, Uganda is in a well-placed position. We have stock right now, current stock, which came in for the month of March, which can take us through the month of April. We have over 81 million liters of petrol, 80 million liters of diesel, and about 18 million liters of jet fuel, which can ride us through the month.
Yeah.
And as I speak, you know, people always say, but why?
Don't dismiss our worries.
Okay.
Yes, don't dismiss them.
People now have the worry of saying, but that is just only through the month of April. And we also come back to say, while we are dealing with that, we have vessels that are coming in. You see, the beauty about Uganda and the beauty about getting out of the G2G arrangement that we had before with Kenya, or when we were buying through middlemen through the Kenyan route, was that now we can, our partner who we're working with.
You stop it. As we say, process by process.
Right.
You are taking us very quickly.
I wanted to give all detail. Okay.
G to G,
G to G.
Z to Z, X to X.
No. You are taking us
For the
very
first time in a very long time,
Yeah.
I was nearly getting stuck in here.
Okay.
Now we're okay. We have 7 million liters of 80 million liters of petrol, something like 80 of diesel, and another 60 of jet.
Yes,
and that's enough to cover the month of April.
No, we have 81 million liters of petrol,
Yeah.
80 million liters of diesel, and 18 million liters of jet fuel.
18?
18 million liters.
1/8.
Jet fuel, yes.
That is very little.
For jet fuel, but how
Yeah.
many planes are actually getting out of there? That is sufficient to actually take care of us. However, we have vessels that are bringing in, and
No,
currently-
hold on. We're still on. Where do you keep this fuel? I got worried when you said
Yeah.
7 million.
Yeah,
Because
no.
now.
So there are several storage facilities. Number one, we have the Ginger storage facility, which is a 30 million liter capacity, and I can see Uncle Abdul laughing at me here. It's a 30 million liter
There
capacity.
was somebody very strategic who built it.
Yes. We all know the person. So moving forward swiftly. We also have private investors who have also built their private terminals, like Mahathi, which is about 70 million.
The Mukula terminal.
Yes, and then of course the other
that has a
private
capacity of 70 million.
70 million. And then you have the other private entities like Total and Vivo, who also have their own smaller storage tanks. Now, this, of course, is just to keep us moving. However, as a country, in total, I would say, as a country, we would average about 120, 130 million liters, which is comfortable. Because again, remember that as we store this, we have more vessels coming in, and for the month of for the current month, actually, as of yesterday, there was a vessel that had finished offloading, and we are looking at 195 million liters of petrol, 155 million liters of diesel, which is fantastic.
So this question was, we can keep fuel in Uganda.
We can survive.
You as government and the private sector.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that at least you've managed to explain that to us.
Yes.
So, where are your ships coming from? Because when you say ships are sailing,
Yes.
we hear about ships that are sinking.
Yes.
Yeah, are yours coming? Do you have permission to come through Hormuz?
So the interesting thing about our arrangement is that we are now sourcing, or we have been sourcing actually globally, from the Americas, from India, from Singapore, and all these other places where you have refineries that can actually...
From the Americas to Uganda?
Yes.
How expensive is that?
Yes.
one?
So you see, it's not really about expensive. You see, a lot of the time you just look at the global markets, you see who's giving you a better deal and a better value, and you buy from that. So it's kind of like going to let's say you want to buy tomatoes, and then you realize that Nakasero market is selling them at a better price. So you actually go and buy it at a better price, and you manage your costs within that.
Nakasero is selling them at a higher price.
Yes.
So you drive to Waise, buy from Waise, and then come and stay in Nakasero.
And it's still the same cost.
It's still all cheaper.
It is.
that what you're saying?
It works. It works its way out.
Yeah.
But ideally, we look at the global market, and kind of like a trading market. You will look at where you get the best value. You buy from that market and bring it in.
Okay, so why are fuel prices going up?
So the
Because
reason why fuel
over
prices
the last 2 weeks, I think they've gone up 300, 400
Yeah.
shillings.
So first of all, I want to state that Uganda is not peculiar from any other country today. In fact, if you look at the UK or the US, their prices have shot up to 50%, 80%.
But
I'm
the
coming
question is why?
I'm coming. So why have these prices gone up? Now, you see, in Uganda, what we have, our situation in Uganda is a bit interesting or peculiar, away from other countries, in the sense that it is a free market. Now, what we as UNOC, or the government of Uganda, supply to these oil marketing companies is a fantastic price. Now, when these oil marketing companies supply to these retailers, the retailers will tell you, number one, the cost of running their business is one reason why they that's why you see some stations in the affluent neighborhoods where some of you stay are really marked up as compared to other places. But also, the other thing is speculators, and also the whole idea of trying to play around with this whole confusion that is going around globally. But truth be told, we are still supplying the oil marketing companies at a fantastic price, which doesn't need for them to...
True, but I'll tell you this.
Yes.
In South Africa, they're struggling.
Yes.
In Germany, they've said to schools, that because I'm very much school-based, I very much quickly learn about schools, that they should do some online lessons and stop moving about. In the UK, they are bringing some subsidies and so on. So how come Tony Ottawa is not as worried as these superpowers? You're putting us at a level above them.
You see, it is not saying that we are not worried. We, of course, note that from the prices that we bought a lot of this product, let's say in January or February, those prices are not going to be the same in the next few weeks, because we are now going to be purchasing off prices which are, say, from March. Now, when you look at the Platts marketing price and how the prices go for such commodities, all countries have seen a sharp rise, a sharp spike in the price of these petroleum products. Now, what that means is that even Uganda as a country, we have to make ourselves ready for that eventuality of a price increase, which is going to be, or which we have seen as a normal global phenomenon. However, we have ways in which we can cushion this. Number one, not many countries have been able to actually stock up as we have. So we have a product coming in and we can stock it up for now. But most importantly as well is we can constantly at least keep the country wet, meaning that there is constant fuel, which will mean that if there's supply, there's no need for a crazy spike. Because you see, once you have less supply, the demand, which is also visible, instantly you have spikes.
Two more questions for you. In 2017, there were lessons to learn for Uganda. So has UNOC learned from that recent history when we had no fuel because it was disrupted by Kenyan rioters?
Absolutely.
And then secondly, UNOC was created to protect us, to look after us. And do you feel that this job has been done?
It has been done absolutely well. And I think I also remember coming here and my elder here, Ako Abdu, actually applauded us for that. You see, if you recall those days, dealers would come and park their trucks in Mabira and wait for a slight increase of 200, 300 shillings and then flood the city with their trucks. Today it's different because, number one, we make sure that we take care of the allocations that are given to these oil marketing companies, which means that everyone is taken care of. Number two, we also make sure that allocations and vessels coming in are done in a coordinated manner to mean that we do not have any gaps in there. So we have, like I said, product into the country at all times. But also the interesting thing about the middlemen that you mentioned is that back in the day, the middlemen were a little bit dodgy, or very much dodgy, in the sense that they would deal, kind of like take control of the prices from that end. Here, we are dealing with the prices at home, at source, meaning that we sell to the OMCs at a certain standard price, but more importantly, we also make sure that we are controlling the price situations. And our mandate in the beginning, Oscar, was, number one, make sure that we have steady supply of product into the country, but also regulate or see that we have prices not getting distorted like they were before. If you recall, there was a time when prices were close to 6,000 shillings, or even actually 6,000 shillings. But even with the situation today, the biggest hikes I have seen are about 5% to 10%, but those are with certain petrol stations, the likes that were mentioned by the minister a couple of weeks ago. Most stations, I just came from Ginger this morning, most stations you'll see still at 5,100, 4,900, and it's still a good thing. This is a month into this confusion in the Middle East.
So what's quotable for you, that we shall not buy fuel at 6,000 this month?
This month, I am very hopeful, and you can quote me here. We shall not buy fuel at 6,000 shillings. That will not be the case.
Okay. Mr. Paul Mwesigwa is in the studio. We will put him in the hot seat for electricity in a few minutes. But still on this topic, Paul, do you, because suddenly I was into a cold shower because the electricity went off as I was having this shower in the cold rain.
Yeah.
And then my family is very quick. They switched on the generator, but it was too late for me because I was right in there. So by the time the generator came on, as Baganda said, wayaba. So, how much fuel do you use at UEDCL?
For sure.
Because my suspicion is if we run out of fuel, we may also run out of electricity.
Yes or no? For maintenance, we might, because on average you use some good liters of fuel on a monthly basis worth about 1 billion plus fuel expenses.
Oh, so in terms of money, not liters, okay.
Yes, in terms of money. So that means that in the case we have disruptions, service delivery will also suffer. But our suppliers, we believe they will be in a position to have enough fuel, as mentioned by UNOC. And we expect that if the situation stabilizes, we shall also be in a position to give the service. Thank you. I'll talk about issues of electricity later.
Yes, I thought I should drag in because I suspect that a lot of us, we have the electricity issues linked with fuel issues. A friend of mine, Tony and Paul, were saying they wanted to stock 500 liters of fuel. And then on this WhatsApp group, people were saying, please don't try it. Don't try it. You don't even have insurance for that. You don't have a store for such amounts of fuel. I guess you're going to say to him, please don't do it.
There's no need to panic, to be honest with you. We have fuel in the country. We have fuel coming into the country. We shouldn't panic. I think one of the crazy times, if you recall, and some of you I think are old enough to recall, in the 70s, 1973, I think, when there was an OPEC embargo. That was when we had a crazy fuel crisis. And then also in 79, which was also an Iranian war. Remember the revolution time. But you see, a crisis is where there is no stock or no fuel and the prices spike. Here you have fuel. So I wouldn't call that a crisis.
Okay.
But also, too, the prices in Uganda, if you compare it to any country, I just saw a notice from Rwanda where prices are being capped at 5,900. We haven't gotten to that point. And I think we shouldn't be worried about getting to that point.
Okay, let's start with Abdu here. I have all these gentlemen from the east. So
yeah, that's where the wise one comes from.
The wise one was crucified. Yes. So Abdu, from listening to Tony Otoa here, so you are good, you'll drive to Butende with great confidence.
Yes, but yes, I think as of now.
Yes,
as of now.
Sorry, I should have said, Tony, you have Star Cafe here. Gang is powered by Star Cafe. Please don't bring out your chapati if you came with it in the pocket.
Remember the generals who said when they go to meetings, they get chapati from the pocket.
Yeah,
I thought it's the same thing here.
No, you don't need to. We are very safe. Star Cafe powers the gang, so tuck in.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tony might not need something warm. He might be wanting something cold. Anyway, yes and no. First of all, I am privileged and honored to have been one of the few people who put our heads together to create UNOC. And we created UNOC for this purpose. So far, we don't have any regrets as why we created this institution.
Right.
The chaps that we were given the responsibility of, first of all, managing it right from the beginning up to today, they seem to be doing a pretty good job. We don't have to complain as of now. Having said that, you see, when Tony is talking about there is no crisis, everything is okay. Yes, it is good as an institution to say that. But Oscar, this crisis is about the pump price.
Pump prices, that's right.
That's his crisis. This about planning, that is yours. But if within 4 weeks he has got an increase of 300 per litre or 400 per litre, to him that is the crisis. And that's what he wants you to explain and do everything possible that you don't have that unreasonable increase in the pump price. I'll give you an example. Him, because you see, at the end of the day, Mwesgwa consumes fuel worth, he says, 1 billion.
Yeah.
If there is an increase...
That's about 200,000 litres.
Yes. If there is an increase for that 200,000, your bill will go up to maybe 1.1 something billion.
Yes.
And that distorts their budget because that's not something they expected. So what is it that we can do? Obviously, there are steps measures we can put place as UNOC or as a country, but there are other shocks which we have to absorb. Remember, we are a landlocked country, and so on. So it has its own disadvantages, and we are net importer. Not to, but it goes back to turn it to a bigger debate, Oscar. Because yes, we now have our.
Abdul, I have invited the Petroleum Authority, and one of these days we should have them here, and then you maybe change that statement from net importer.
Yeah, we are net importer as of now, and so on. And it goes back to strategic decision we should have been taking as a country. Remember the issue of the refinery.
Yeah.
Do we need a refinery or do we not? And if so, what capacity of the refinery do we need? And we went ahead and even got into some contractual obligations with some people. The information I receive now is that we are in real trouble. The so-called partners we thought were very good, we are not. And eventually, that project could be many months or years back, and so on. I don't want to alarm people, but at least for those who are in the sector, know that there is a problem, big problem. So, Oscar, if we were not a net importer, then some of those issues will not be affecting us so much. But now that we are, some of the things we have to do is to pray that crisis, as it is now, ends tomorrow. And even when it ends, the sort of effects will maybe here with us for a little bit shorter. It will not end today and everything will normalize tomorrow. No, those disruptions will be there. And then that world will never be the same.
That's true.
The oil-producing world will not be the same. They have got now many challenges and so on. Some of their refineries are actually been hit. And that's the world's biggest producer of oil. Now, the alternative we have, even other countries are having those alternatives. So once we all run to the alternative, then the price mechanism also changes because there will be more demand than anything else. So the people like Dangote, I think now, these are the heroes of the continent, you see, to make sure that they are investing in where it matters most. We were forced into this decision of no bigger refinery, no nothing. And unfortunately, we didn't have a bigger debate because the majority of our people really don't appreciate some of these issues. But that was
we didn't have the money for it. You have to consider that as well.
No, money is never there. It is how you organize. You know, in all these investments, Oscar, there is no store of money. It's not there. Financing is you must sit on the table and go with experts and bring in people, say, how do we invest in it, and so on. Where are the alternatives? And then you have to engage other people, financials. Money is in the world, but here we may not have a store full of money. So you must discuss. Let me tell you one thing. As of now, oil, it is still going to be one of the most expensive products you have to invest in. So that is not a very, very big worry on my part. It's just about organizing financing. So, Tony, the people who are thinking this is a crisis, is one, they are no longer getting the pump price they were thinking.
Right.
It has gone up. So where is the problem? Speculators, and how do we deal with the speculation? Because now that is a government responsibility. You have a mother ministry which regulates this industry. Should be able to come in and say, how do we handle this sort of issue? And as you know, once you have the cost of transport going up, each and every product will certainly go up. But even people like Mwesugwa here, he doesn't need that fuel for transport. He needs this for other reasons.
Yes.
And there are many other consumers of oil who need it for other reasons. And then their products eventually become expensive. So it is not about the pump price of me going to Starbucks and the price has gone up, but these people who use this particular product in their production process, the cost of production goes up, and therefore they must get up the price. So it has got another effect. Yes. So yes, as a country we are worried. Some of you, we know you are not the problem. The problem is in a different place. But now that the problem is there, we've given the responsibility to manage what we think is a crisis.
Well, Joseph Ocheno, this war may not end soon, because listening to the news this morning with Iran having ability to shoot down jets. So if it goes on, we get Tony Ottawa back next month, he might be saying something else. What do you think?
You know, Tony is my OB.
So there are some positives here.
And I can tell you that we do well, and particularly even if you're not from the East, so long as you pass via an Eastern school, like the school, you're not bad. But Tony nearly qualifies for my deputy national optimist.
Joseph, when you speak about schools, and I'm here, apparently there's only one school in Uganda.
No, there can't be only one school when you're only one here.
We are 3 million here. Busoka College, really?
Good morning, Oscar.
But by the way, Oscar, I don't know. I may just take a bit of Mickey here. There is a school that associates with Oscar, and I don't know what the rules are of the game here. I saw some video yesterday as by the by.
Yeah, that's the school I'm talking about. We had a great show.
You know, guys, if you don't mind, listeners, I watched a tiny little video and I was compelled to change my programs. Unfortunately, I couldn't go there. But for the purposes of this debate, and since we talk about our nation survival, and the future, the youngsters that I saw and the sample that I saw is, amidst my quarrels with Oscar over optimism, his school actually makes me absolutely excited. Optimistically massively. So it's fantastic stuff. Good to you guys. But anyway, so Tony just about qualifies to be my deputy national optimist. And if there is anybody listening, this guy does such a fantastic PR that the feel-good factor that this country needs amid this global crisis is actually spokesperson Tony. But so that said, you've really given us a clear assurance, and I rarely go out of words. But that said, I think I have to say is the issue is, yes, an assurance that we've got stock. But I fundamentally don't agree that 300 shillings increase per litre of fuel can be dismissed. That's sort of an average, to be fair. In fact, it's just gone up to about an averagely 400. It cannot be dismissed, number one. Number two, those of us in the studios may generally manage these increases, but we are not the only ones who use these things. And then three, very important, Tony, when you guys came in as UNOC, I traveled north to West Nile, amongst the most struggling sub-regions in the country, and I actually ever brought a debate here that why would the cost and price of fuel in an average Arua Nebi be 300-400 shillings more than here. Granted, they'll argue transportation, and in fact, when you guys took over, I thought that the means of the policies, the principles of demand and supply would possibly cease to apply, because you guys, as a national agency, the guys who supply fuel down there, the regime that now supervises these things broke our railways. It means, therefore, that taking fuel from Tororo, indeed from Mombasa to Pakwach, may be far more expensive than taking it to Nagongera. Granted, these are some of the cushions that you guys need to do and to give. But Abdu is absolutely right. The issue is, one, that price, but the net other implications were about to say, fuel price has risen. He's paid 300 shillings more, but he's going to pay a man for 1,000 shillings extra as a trip from,
and right now he cannot increase his fares despite the increase in the fuel.
That's true. So it's important. But where then are you guys as the regulators? And I think Oscar was asking a question about this global thing.
UNOC are not regulators, authorities. UNOC are just a business.
No. I'm just saying where the regulators, because the way UNOC is talking, where the regulators, meaning the national guys at the top. During COVID, we raised this matter, and in fact, Uganda was allegedly amongst the guys who were willing, as a country, to abandon the citizens, and the state and Mr. Museveni was very unequivocal that we will not touch it because it's a private sector thing. Everybody else, including the most capitalist country on earth, America, was subsidizing their people, except here for us in Uganda. So away from you guys in UNOC, the guys who supervise you guys should be listening. That no, Oscar's question is that look, the state must be able to come in and cushion whatever the outcome. You've given us a guarantee that look, there is sufficient fuel, thanks to the guys who planned, including Underprint Ginger. But as far as pricing and cushioning the citizens as concerned, must be looked at. And of course, the knock-on effect, as we said, in the food prices and many other things. But we know it's very much about strategic decision, very much about oversight, very much also about due diligence, the kind of thing that Abdul is talking about. Some of the issues are things that we don't want to put on the table at the moment because we don't want to scare the nation. But the clear guarantee anyway is that yes, we are not going to run short of it. But it's a crisis still.
Thank you, Joseph. And I hope Tony is in there. Just one second. Let's have Derek as well.
Okay.
And then we'll get back to you when you have everything.
Okay.
Yes, Derek. Journalism these days is grab a border, go to the story. There was a sad story yesterday.
Yeah.
And of course, lack of fuel, loss of fuel would affect your work as well.
Absolutely. We so much operate on fuel in the production, production, just not movement alone, but they're so important in terms of gathering the information that we have to lay out to the people and stuff like that. And we are very worried. For instance, where that problem happened in Gaba, it should be 7 or something kilometers from my workplace, Daily Monitor, and a border on a good day without like these fuel escalating prices would charge you anywhere about maybe 3,000-4,000. But now with this, they have,
and that would be an expensive border.
Of course, it would be. But then it will now put an extra 2,000, and they will tell you fuel prices have gone high. You get? And then you'll certainly say he will actually ride as he's breaking down for you. Now, for instance, last year around June, we used to buy fuel at 5,100 or even 5,000 flat. But now you got the fuel pumps. It's now 5,350 or something like that. So we are also being beaten as Ugandan. The more the fuel prices go high, the pinch is not even on the transport service providers.
They pass it off.
The pinch is on me, the final consumer. You get?
Of everything else.
Of everything else. And if government is thinking about the fuel prices and stuff like that, they should be thinking about me, the Muntu more than any other person. You get? But that said, I like the optimism that Tony throws around this. And I hope Ugandans really do not take him the way he's trying to share it, because we've had words like that before. If anyone remembers the COVID period, we were told we have so many reservoirs that where we can keep oil and stuff like that, only to go and check the Ginger Reservoir, and it was empty. It was empty at the time. And then the other is, and then we are being hit, and we're the only ones who were not giving incentives. Kenya, for instance, gave incentives to the citizens during the time. But I also know that the real economists came and hit them hard because of the incentives they had given. And to some people who know a thing or two about economics will tell you that probably Kampala not giving incentives, probably it was a wise move or something like that. But for us, the citizens who are the last consumers wouldn't be listening to that. Would be looking at a government that sits and stands and gives it back to their citizens, you know. So absolutely, fuel is if not, for lack of a better word, the biggest engine in an economy. Because now, the price of sugar will certainly go high, and they will tell you transporting sugar now from Jinja to Kampala has certainly gone high. You get, because oil is for transportation and every commodity that we use in the market, including matoke, which you can go and pick from wherever. They're going to tell you transportation has gone high. So, as a journalist where I'm sitting, we are not, we do not sit well in the good economic books of the country because of our pay and stuff like that. So, when we hear these fuel prices rising, we are saddened. We say, where are we going to go? You get? So, yes, the optimism is good, but the reality on ground, one would think that we are rushing to raise we are rushing to raise the price, the oil prices, because when you say we have over 80 million liters of fuel, and we only consume about 7 of them a week, so then you would literally think that in the last 1 month when this war has been happening, we should be consuming the old stock. And then the fuel prices would certainly be raising when you are bringing the new stock, when the old stock is done. But
in technically, if you consume 7 million a week, then 80 liters is very small. It's like if that is your money and you spend 7 million a week.
Sorry, 7 million a day.
Sorry, 7 million a day. 7 million.
You said it's 7 million a week.
No, I'm correcting now. 7 million a day.
A day.
A day.
It is a day.
A day. It's combined product.
Or combined product is 7 million a day. Yes.
Okay.
When Moses said last week it's 8 million a day, people were roasting him. But
On average.
No,
it was
he
close.
actually made a mistake. He didn't say day.
he didn't say day.
Said a week, and that's why the
Because
problem
Tony
is. It's
started by
supposed to be a
saying a
day.
week.
Yeah.
No, it's a day.
No, fair enough.
It's a day.
It's a day.
Yeah.
But then,
Oh, now you've scared us more.
now we are
No.
more scared.
But that's the reality.
Look,
You see, now we are more scared.
look. It's like saying, it's like asking.
Now
what-
it's your
what-
time now.
Okay.
Respond to everything.
Let me first of all begin by attacking that.
Do you
It is
mind
like
just
saying-
one thing before Tony comes in?
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't lose track.
No. Apart from the issues being raised about the inflationary tendencies and implications, which is basically a bigger thing on the national economy from an economist's perspective, there is this thing about regulations and oversight. Because you're saying that, Tony, where are you guys when you're supplying this, because you're now the monopoly, and you see the other guys doing the distribution genuinely going on and abusing the system? Don't you really have powers to be able to check these guys?
Okay,
I know
so
Vanilla is
first I'll begin with on a positive note. We had a meeting with the oil marketing companies last week on Monday with the ministry in charge of that meeting, and we discussed these issues, and we also informed them, because some of them were actually hoarding. Some of them were holding back. I mean, it's a business, you understand? The more you hold back and the prices go up, you sell and get at a better price. So we have already taken it out of our system, but now it is with other entities who are now holding. That's a different thing. So in that meeting, we were very clear to them, and we said this will impact you in future in your allocations and so on and so forth. So it's a caution. It's a caution. But let me first of all begin by stating 2 facts. The first one, we are all aware that there's a war in the Middle East. It is not that this is just happening out of the blue, right? And we're also aware, second fact, that this is happening globally. All countries in the world are facing this. In fact, many of them are facing it even worse, where they have to ration, they have to curtail movement, they have to throw in incentives and so on and so forth. But also, the other third fact that I wanted to probably end with is crude is a raw product for fuel. And we all know that almost 20 to 40% of the crude globally comes from the Middle East in terms of raw material. The refineries in India, in Singapore, and many others, China or Russia, use crude
bitumen.
The crude oil itself from the Middle East.
That's also a product of that.
Absolutely. Now, this crude is not getting to the refineries. let's go back to your sugar example. Let's imagine you have a sugar factory and there are no trucks bringing in sugar because there's no raw product, the sugar cane, to be brought to the factory. What happens? You have less production, which also means that your pricing will have to go up because of the demand, and that is not unique to Uganda. It is global. So those are the three key things I wanted us to mention. So if we were talking about this 2 months ago, I would be very, very happy for you to crucify me. But here we know that this is a global situation. But the crisis at the pump, and Uncle Abdu, I take that very, very clearly, because this is what Omuntu Wawansi needs to understand or feel. I understand and understand that. But we're facing a global phenomenon right now. It is not unique to Uganda. We can, and these are the options that countries can do. Number one, incentives or subsidies. But we know that this has not worked even in Nigeria. Nigeria today has higher fuel prices than Uganda. I don't know if you know that. Despite the Dangote refinery, which is pretty much the biggest in the world. Right now, Dangote refinery is pushing out to other economies, including Nigeria itself, but still they have a fuel situation. Nigeria, they've been producing oil for how long? 65 to 70 years now? Okay? So, the incentives can come in, they can work, but we've also seen that they don't work if you're talking about it in the economic sense. So you can work in the short term. In the short term, as a way of cushioning.
Does it even work in the short term?
I'm not sure, but I mean, for the masses, for the people, if you're trying to deal with it politically, it can actually cushion.
Like
fair
now.
comment.
It's you see.
Okay.
Yeah. It kind of gives the feeling of something is being done, but ultimately it doesn't actually work. The second thing is, guys, forex. Forex exchange rates have really gotten beaten over the last 3 weeks. I think if you've been looking I looked at the recent markets globally, we are having a massive hit on forex. A month ago, the dollar in Uganda was how much?
3-4.
3-4.
Yeah.
Today is 3-7. 3-7. Remember that these OMCs are also trading in the dollar. Okay, they're buying things through the dollar. So we have to factor in those things. Oil marketing company, sorry. An oil marketing company is like, say, Oscar.
No, you understood. You
Okay,
understood. You understood.
But also,
Oscar wants you to speak English.
Yeah, G2G. The G2G.
government.
Okay.
So now, when you think about the global prices across, oil prices across the globe, they've gone up by close to 42%. Before the war, about a month ago, we were at $60 a barrel. Today it's 108, and if this thing escalates, we could even actually see it going, higher. Now remember, this crude is a raw material for what? For the end product. Meaning that if I'm buying crude at $108 to produce the same product, I will sell it at a price which also reflects, that high. So these are things that I just wanted us to, be clear about. But finally, I saw a very interesting notice from the Republic of South Africa in regard to this fuel situation, where they decided to remove taxes which are associated to fuel. But remember, that is now not the Ministry of Energy or the Ministry of or the energy sector. It was the finance sector, which was now, or ministry, that was coming in to deal with that, which is beyond the Ministry of Energy, really. So these are things that I wanted us to really be clear about. I mean, I'm hopeful, and you've said I'm an optimist. I love to be, and I always am an Afro-optimist. I am hopeful that we can get out of this war. This war can end. But like Uncle Abdu has said, even when the war ends, it won't be a plug and play, a switch off and we move to good things. There's still going to be a lag. And this is going to be felt globally, not just unique to Uganda.
Well spoken, well spoken. We move the hot seat from you. It is your time to have some star coffee.
Yeah, but you see, as we move away from Tony, Does
Abdu
the
doesn't want to
country
move away from you.
Yeah, because you see, we need to be really well prepared. So it's not about the justification of what is going on.
And Tony, I have to tell you,
It is.
Abdu is very interested in this topic.
Yeah, it is how prepared.
Hold on, Abdu, let me tell this man. He has 3 large cars. And he really is talking from their heart.
What happened
Abdu
to
Katund.
what happened to the fourth one?
The lead car.
So he's speaking from the heart because fueling his cars, they are real guzzlers.
But to me, I think what people like Tony and others who are managing institutions in this sector should be doing one thing: to prepare and we minimize the impact. So that's what I'm interested in. It's not like we should understand there is a problem. Yes, we know the problem is there, but we are doing this as UNOC, as the Petroleum Authority, as the Ministry of Energy. This is what we are doing to make sure that the impacts does not hit the whether Muntuwawa Guru or Muntuwawa so much. Because at the end of the day, that's why we have institutions like you in place. That is what we are interested in. Yes, we know there is a problem. This is what we are doing. And guys, as long as we are here, we shall minimize the effect. That's what the country seeks to hear from Tony, other than, it is happening in the world all over. And then two, I'm not a firm believer in this thing called the subsidy.
I noticed that actually.
Because I know, you see, once you say subsidy, you must look for money. Subsidy is about replacing, or you must cut one or two things which you have been spending money on. You get it. And if you are running a budget like we have, Oscar, where URA can only raise maybe 40% of your revenue, and the other 60 you are borrowing, and then you say, okay, I'm getting this one which I'm borrowing, subsidized here and so on. Really, you distort this thing.
No, but we're also very, we're also very reckless spenders, really.
That is okay. Yes. I agree. I agree with you entirely. And what cost of administration and so on. There are so many things you can do. But you can also know, and this is what Derek was talking about, many countries in the region took that path of subsidy during COVID. I can tell you they burned their hands badly. And if you know one of the reasons you had the Mandamano in Kenya, one of the reasons arose out of that thing called the subsidy. So as we pass through, because of course subsidy is a relief, the final consumer would be a little bit relieved and happy about it. Right. But sometimes these temporary reliefs may have other, what you call unintended consequences. So yes, we need to study it well. How much money do we need to raise to subsidize? Or how much money do we need to forego to caution? And if you have to spend that sort of money, does it have an effect on the general planning of a country? So anyway, it is another big debate, which I think you need to have many professional economists who run the economy put their heads together and say, yes, this is the best way.
Go on.
But Uncle Abdul, as I mentioned before, we have vessels coming into this country. We haven't stopped procuring fuel into the country, which means that over the next few months, over the next few weeks rather, we have, like I mentioned before, 195 liters of petrol, million liters of petrol, 155 million liters of diesel coming into the country, which can cushion us for...
Yeah, that's not the problem. The problem is you are now going to buy fuel maybe in March for May. Okay, for June. Will you be buying at the same price?
So again,
you need to prepare the country, Oscar, that actually a few months here, maybe the prices will be different. And it will be different for legitimate reasons. Because you will have procured at slightly higher price because of the prevailing circumstances. When they were buying this fuel 3 months ago, the war wasn't there.
Right.
The prices were stable. Now they are going to be purchasing
at a higher price.
At a slightly higher price because of the circumstances.
So Tony, Abdu is not patronizing, but I think he's telling the country and telling the leaders the powers that be over and beyond yourself. But actually, it's important that we do strategic planning, and experience has it that we've not been able to do that very well. And number two, I think very critically for me and for the ordinary people who are really the people who need to be subsidized there, I disagree with communication.
Yes.
And you do it so fantastically, regardless of the detail and the concerns raised from the studios, that genuinely citizens of this country need to be informed and need to be reassured, and it doesn't really cost much.
And prepared.
Let the man respond. Tony.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is something that we are constantly doing. I mean, the truth is, we are constantly talking about or updating the nation on what we have in terms of the fuel products that are coming into the country. But we've also mentioned, I think if you looked at our recent press release on Monday or Tuesday, we stated that we are constantly looking at the pricing or the prices and the foreign exchange situation globally. And once we are certain of the changes, we shall again update. So we prepare people. People will not just be, where you wake up in the morning and something is completely different. We're constantly updating the nation on in regard to this fuel situation. So we're very mindful of that, Uncle Abdu, and very, very mindful as well that, number one, it's important to keep the country moving. Important to keep the country moving, which means that we have to have fuel stock in the country at all times. That's number one. But also, if we have fuel stock at all times, that means that the possibility of crazy price spikes is reduced because there is, supply, and the demand is not really, in a shock as we would expect in a situation where there's no product at all.
Okay, thank you so much. We won't let you go for now because fuel issues are going to come up throughout the program. And when you have fuel and electricity as the main topics, they are kind of interlinked.
That's the economy.
And indeed.
Actually, electricity moves with the fuel alongside.
Yes.
In the meantime, electric mobility has also come on board.
Yes.
So maybe as we get through this crisis of fuel, we can now think about
electric mobility.
Yes.
Well, what is that?
Equipment moving on electricity.
Yes.
Motorbikes, buses, for example.
Yes.
Our buses, Kayola, they use power. So in the meantime, it could be like an alternative supply to you.
True.
They have to charge.
But is it sustainable? Is also another thing, because I always like to say, and this is a fact, Africa is energy poor.
Yeah.
Africa is energy poor. If you look at the amount of, or the number of people who are connected, for instance, to electricity.
Which energy poor?
Energy poverty. I mean, the lack of clean energy, electricity, and so on and so forth.
We can invest.
So yes, we can invest, but if you look at the cost of investment, that's why we are always promoting the idea of developing our hydrocarbons so we can actually invest thoroughly in these clean energy areas, so we can actually provide more power, more electricity, alternative sources of energy to people out there.
And that's the direction for sure.
Absolutely.
That's it.
A lot of borders now, I notice. They are getting onto electric borders.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know about the costs, but in terms of running an electric border, should be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But Paul, I must start by commending. There's a manager we have in our Chigo area. Called is he Remigius? Yes, he's very responsive. I'm sure now people complained. Now, for me, I put my complaint here on the Capital Gang, but people, they sometimes even commend him when rain comes on and electricity stays. People post on the village group.
You're expecting to go whenever it rains.
Yes, whenever it rains. Like
we
this
are
morning
changing
it
the
went.
equation, please.
No, but you are taking too long to change. Whenever there is a heavy downpour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 year down the road, I don't know. We'll ask, and I'll ask these gangsters that are here because all of them pay for electricity. 1 year down the road, are you happy that we left Umeme, we left Yaka and went to the lights? And for you, Paul, 1 year down the road, are you pleased by any achievement so far?
Thank you very much. I'm 100% pleased. Members who are listening and in this discussion, we took over on the 1st of April. And by the 31st of March, a lot has happened. And our first emphasis was to put up a governance structure that performs the job in terms of people, in terms of systems, ICT, communication, controls and procedures to work. That one we have ably achieved because we managed to deploy permanent staff 2,712, add-on and other temporary people. Now we have a total of about 1,710 extra temporary people in addition to the permanent people. So, and that's why the response time is gradually improving. But when we took over a network with delay in investment. From 2022, when the government made a decision not to renew contracts of private operators, not only for Umeme, even for private operators, the investment into the network across the country decreased. And a network of power distribution requires long-term investment activities, which take what you call long lead items to be executed. So when we took over, we did what we call diagnostic study of the network, and we found on average about 12% of the equipments are due for replacement or in a temporary state of failure or overload. So in that structure. So the first step was to make sure how do you make it work, however crazy it could be. So we went in to optimize substations, optimize the feeders, and deploy people. So that's why in our first 6 months, it was like firefighting. That when power goes off, it takes 3, 4, 5 minutes, comes back as we configure the network. But by the time we clocked September and towards December, we had reached a state of being more predictive. We worked on quite a number of substations, like 5 substations, that the free calling power had reduced. The feeders, about 18, we had configured them to speak the language that if power goes off this side, you can have an alternative this side. There are some few areas which by November up to end of March, we had to go into the load shedding mode. That is part of Kasangati, Gayaza, and the Chira side. Yes.
It was deliberate. You're saying that was deliberate?
Not deliberate, because the network had reached a maximum load.
Yeah.
But beginning mid last month, we gave them an alternative supply from Kawanda substation to what we call Waligo on Gayaza, where the cell got, the roastery got. We have a substation there.
Kumbuzi.
Now our people in that side of Wate, they might be getting some few problems, but on local status, where we have transformer overload. Now, what I also found out that by the time we took over, we had transformer.
Let me just stop you there for a few minutes, and we go in for a break, and after the break, we'll give you a bit more time. I must quiz you on that equipment thing, but the information you're giving right now is very, very crucial. Come back from the break. This is the Capital Gang, and right now in the hot seat we have UEDCL ED. Right, and he's giving us information, especially around. Very impressive how you know what's going on in Kampala.
Actually, Oscar, before I go into the nitty-gritties of each and every area, but in the big picture of the institution, we've created what we call fair stability towards what we were looking at. When we talk about the systems, for example, our ICT systems up and running, people can vent at any time. There was a speculation in February that when we took over, people were encouraged to buy tokens that can take them some time. That one did not happen. Even up to now, we're making the system much more robust. And also areas of sourcing for funding, cash collection. We've managed to do our targets right on cash collection. Actually, for information, we are collecting 100%. This is one of the utility in the world with cash collection is 100%. Why? Of our controls and procedures, plus the governance in place. And because of that, we have been positioned to create what we call financial sustainability and viability.
When you took over, what was the collection rate?
About 99.8%.
99.8?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But we've hit 100%. Why?
Progress.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. And because of that, we've been positioned to pay the bills for our major supplier. The major supplier is transmission, UEDCL, 100%. And most of the companies that we took over, all the 7 that we took over, none of them by the time they left, they had finished paying the bills for transmission. They have actually left debts. Some of them are even now in court. So as a government company, we are very proud of that. And we believe we shall continue on the same journey. With deployed technology, most of the customers we have, 99.9%, are on prepayment. We are now driving towards the 3-phase customers up to 500 kVA. And we also need to thank the government because the biggest exposure that was being looked at, that the failure of government to pay their bills. But they're not paying the bills. There's some negotiation and discussion ongoing with some few critical institutions. We've seen actually their payments catching up. And also the current policy guideline that accounting officers are not supposed to create areas, domestic areas, has also given us a push that we are correcting the bills even from government accounting officers. So in that case, as a utility company, we are in the position of attracting funding to the extent that last year around December, we secured $50 million, a commercial loan, not from Treasury.
No, but Treasury, we are going to give you money.
Yeah, not from Treasury, because the lending rates for the government had reached a certain level. So other than letting the private people invest for us, as UEDCL went on the market, look for the money, and we got good offers. Even as we speak now, we're negotiating much more $1 million funding for the future because of the ability to pay back those loans, which wasn't the case 25 years ago when a Twitter company of this nature could go in the market to look for funding. The exposure was energy losses and the failure to collect and pay back the money. Now, when you go in the market, we get positive response, many offers that could be available. Those are positive feedback that we could talk about.
Mr.
Let me talk about now the population.
I like the way you and Tony have framed your positives. Both of you have set your own questions and answered them the way you like.
You notice how silent I am.
Yes. So we have to say no. Once again, pola, process by process. So you are talking about things. You're saying kudos to yourself, and as Abdul would say, they are not kudos to us. There's a message sent by someone in Gaza saying they've not had power since yesterday. Then this morning, as I told you, my shower experience. Again, yesterday we didn't have power. So right now, our biggest concern is the light to stay on, regardless of how many millions you have borrowed, what governance you've done, whatever. Because by paying 100%, collecting 100%, means we are religiously paying all the time for a service we are not getting.
Putting it differently, the consumer has done his obligation 100%.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Not you.
Wonderful.
So it is only you. Why are we not having power? Why is it the road shedding? Yet for us, Totubanja. I think to put it in Uganda, you don't kubanja the consumer.
That is true. To a certain level, we need to thank our customers. Now, our next step and the task ahead is to make sure that we fulfill our service charter, that you've paid us 100%, also to give you the service 100%. What are we doing? What we are doing is to...
Especially, Oscar,
now
when the consumer pays in advance.
That one?
Yes, because it's like we lend you money. We pay you in what?
In
advance.
That's why we have to we're looking at our customer service charter and to make sure that we create what we call alternative supplies. In engineering or in English, we call it N-1, that if this line is out, you can supply you from a different line. Because the distribution network at any time T, there will be a maintenance section or there will be an accident somehow, somewhere on the line. But if those two events happen, will the customer get the alternative? That is the drive we are we're moving in. Now we have moved to another level of starting to deploy investments. The investment that we are deploying, we categorize them into the major line and what we call transformer zones. Transformer zones you could find on a village. There are 20 or 30 transformers supply a given community. And most of the customers we have now, they are being affected by what we call transformer zones, where your neighbor has, but just across the road, served by a different transformer, they are off supply. Why? Because the transformer maybe went on fault, it was overloaded, the circuit get out of order. So what we are doing now is to do what we call transformer injection and transformer upgrade. As we speak,
we have started keeping them in our compounds. It's one way of keeping a transformer safe.
Yeah, to a certain level, because when we were deploying a transformer, it's for the community. And for security reasons, because of vandalism, we are positioning the transformers near the people. And people with some good compounds near the fence, we come and ask you permission, let us put for you light here, you sign for us a form clearing us, then we deploy. That's the next level that we are doing. We've so far deployed about 132 transformers in that mode, but on our ladder, we are planning to have over 600 in the queue. And the beauty of it, we've sourced the suppliers and they're supplying accordingly. That is to manage that environment. But again, on the side of transmission, we're working with a transmission sister company, because the network for distribution has a limit at which you could distribute. Then you call in reinforcement into the backbone. For example, the customers in Nakasongola side, in Welo up to Kafu, we're supplying them from Kawanda substation. How many kilometers? 160 plus. So last week, but one transmission commission substation in Ruel. So we believe the quality of supply, that side, has also going to improve. Even in other places, including Jinja. We have a project we are doing in Jinja called Jinja Industrial to build a new substation in order to enforce the supplies of the industrial area, Jinja. In Chigo, for your information, we are looking for land. Actually, we've advertised.
Don't that's when Chigo is a prison.
No, Chigo, we have a topmost hotel,
and a golf course,
and a hospital.
The amount of energy consumed that side goes back to Kajansi, up to Chirudu Hospital. So the volume of megawatts consumed, you can't believe it is of good volume. Also, we are going to build a substation, Nakase Road, where we are concluding the discussion for land that will enable supply of Kololo, Nakaselo, William Street, Makele, and part of Nankulabi. So those are some of the projects that we are running. But what we need to appreciate that electricity distribution network, they are civil works. There is what we call lead time. These are civil works that use highly specialized equipment. They are not on the market, on the shelf. You can't go in the shop and say, I want that primary transformer to put in my substation. No. You advertise, you write a scope, they manufacture for you. So for those big transformers for substations, manufacturing, from the day you sign an agreement to manufacture, take between 4 to 6 months in the factory there. Why? Because they have other orders, and also they also need to organize their logistics. Then shipping, by the time it comes to Uganda, you add another 2 to 3 months. In total, you have 9 months. Installation could be 3 months, because by the time it comes here, you've done the civil works, you just press on the
You see,
ground.
I want to take you up on that one. But before, as I promised to take you up on the issue of equipment, but before that, I need to bring to you, I have a barber. And this barber, I call him up and say I'm coming for a haircut. And these days the barber has improved to buying a generator, because before you'd say, no, don't come, electricity has gone, which meant that on that day there's no income for them. Then I've seen some juice makers, those people who, they make juice and sell the juice. Electricity has gone, now the juice has gone bad, no business. I don't know if UEDCL ever feels for those people, because these are everyday who do not want to know your 50 million loan, who do not want you to know that equipment you are importing. But there are so many across Uganda whose livelihood depends on reliable electricity. And one of them once told me, the Baba said to me, if UEDCL could tell me the times that I will not have electricity, I will not even open the shop. I'll come when there's electricity and work, because now he has lost transport money.
Actually, we have a stronger feel. I can demonstrate this by two. That's why we did put a 24-hour call center. That if you get a problem,
let me switch off Abdul's microphone.
Call his call center.
He's breathing hard.
There are we have three telephone numbers that that does at control remotely. If it fails to come back, we send a team survey to do surveillance on the line. If the issue is minor, they go on the poles, climb and restore. That's why it can go at 9 and comes back maybe at midnight. Not by chance. There are people in the field whom we've deployed to work under those circumstances. That is the field that we can demonstrate.
Okay. Then a final question for me before we conclude a little bit and have discussion around the table. UEDCL was Umeme's boss.
Yes.
UEDCL was the owner of the equipment. So these people were leasing, and annually you had to inspect, you had to look at what they had, and that's how you managed to bring losses down and so forth. So when you turn around and say we found the equipment in a near state of rot and whatever, because nothing was added on since 2022, but it was your stuff, it was you.
You're right.
Is one. True, Umeme is in court, I think international arbitration, saying there's more money you should give him and all, and it kind of contradicts what you're saying, because if Umeme says this, and these are questions that if you had your PR man, I would not ask him, but when you have the big honcho here, these are things that you need to address.
Yeah, for sure. We are inspecting or supervising what Umeme was doing on the network. And towards their last year of exit, we wrote a big report where we had recommended the $85 million not to be given to them. It's on record, and because of the circumstances here and there,
circumstances. Like circumstances. Go on, Paul.
So the recommendation was not considered because we had observed it. The network needs investment even before they leave, and if they don't put in, they should pay that money to the country, and the country through UEDCL. So that one is a response to the fact that we had observed the network, and now it is our time to fix the network, and that's what we are doing. Because fixing a network is not working in the supermarket, buy and fix that day. you need to do some more work. It's true, the women is in the court of arbitration, claiming on their buyout amount, and matters of the court, we leave them with the court. And
our lawyer is here as well.
Yes.
So you can tell us how much we can say.
Yeah. Okay, that's it that I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Derek Wandera, there's, as I was telling, messages are coming through, and their biggest thing is lack of electricity for lighting, cooking, or business. So there's this person here, Masanyu Adolf, says, tell the gentleman that in Kagadi we are disappointed by services. In my village, Chakavadima, distribution wires were vandalized, and now it's 8 months of no power. So these are the issues. But Derek, what is it that you'd like to put to the big man of UEDCL?
I've been part of the story of the switch between UEDCL and UMEME from the first day. They did. I tracked the first 100 days, and I wrote. And
Derek, sometimes people say, were they prepared? Did we take UMEME off before? And then I remind them, no, the UEDCL was the owner.
Yes. UEDCL had been there. It was there already, just. So I wrote a story after investigating, getting reports and whatever, after their first 100 days. And it was from a perspective of a consumer who is grappling with off and on power. You would feel for them, especially if they haven't gotten any kind of understanding, knowledge, and information. But as a person who has been going through the trenches to try to dig out, to understand what exactly is happening and what was happening before, I would not be the first person to lash UEDCL. And with all the problems that he's talking about, not investing for one full year before the big switch and stuff like that. As a person, during UMEME, my area, we could have power. We were very lucky to have power for 4 days in a week. Very lucky.
For 4 days.
By the which area that?
That's Chisasi.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But when UEDCL came in, you know what we used to do? We used to have this coming for people. So a guy would come on the pole and disconnect us, then comes onto our apartment and asks for money. We used to give 200,000.
Every month? Every time?
Every time. He comes and switches off, and then he comes and demands money. We give him, then he puts us on, maybe for 2-3 days, then he comes and switches it off. So I said, how do we solve this problem? And then we got a problem with our transformer. Our transformer was dilapidated. It had actually broken down. But I called UEDCL, and that very evening, a new transformer was installed. I refused these people to pay that guy money, and I said, this power, we're not supposed to be paying these middle people money, these Kamufu people, because it's illegal in the first place, but also it's unsustainable. We can't be giving 200,000 each time he comes.
Whenever he lacks fees, he comes and disconnects. And
every time he's broke, every time he's broke, he knows where to get 200,000. You get? So
actually, they disconnect them at around 9.
Yes.
Switch off the light.
Yes.
In the morning, the guy comes. Hey, your power disappeared. What can we do? Can you collect money among yourselves?
Exactly.
And
so at some point, I told my landlord, I am not going to collect that money. If power comes back, come and switch me off my house, but I'm not going to pay for that money. So I refused.
So probably the landlord was in a scam.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to accuse him.
Maybe not.
He's a very astute man, and I wouldn't accuse him on that. But we got a transformer, and trust you me, 7 months down the road, 7 or 8 months down, we have not had any power going off.
Wow.
Unlike when it's a general problem, there was a general problem of I think a pole was hit, was knocked by a car, and then like those very general problems. But in my area, I've not had that. Nonetheless, I have had, for instance, I've written stories of vandalism that has hit UEDCL countrywide.
Actually, we've had 331 cases of vandalism.
And you investigate.
331 cases.
Yes, since we took over.
So you investigate these vandalism cases, and some of them are happening in places where you would you would actually think that they are safe. You know, some of the places that experience more vandalism are places that have either barracks or army detaches around them, and the vandalism is so vehement to the extent that big cables, you know, that are transmitting very big amount of power are the ones being stolen. So you would think this is not a job that's being done by me, a layman who doesn't know anything about electricity. These are people who know about electricity. These are, maybe you would even... I mean, more vandalism. The trees, the cables and stuff like that. So, for me, who has understood the story of UEDCL, I'll be the last person to hit them. As we need to work collectively, because as Ugandans, we have to be part of the story.
Thank you,
to
Dave.
help in rectifying the problems of power that we have, which are rectifiable. If we stop people from doing vandalism,
it will help.
If we
330 cases, too much.
You know. Yeah.
Thank you. Put a pause.
Let him talk about the Kamifus for sure.
Pardon? Yes.
Kamifu, they were very rampant during the transition period. So what we did was to make sure that we send a message very clear. If you are found on the network, you'll be arrested. And we arrested more than 6 or 7 culprits. They are in court. Some of them have been sentenced for tampering with electrical installation. But those are the tricks that we are doing. At night, at around 9-10, as we are watching soccer or TV news, they go on nearby pole, they switch you off, and what happens? The following day they come and convince you that we can give you a solution to collect money. So we've continued to activate surveillance against those people, and we are getting some peace. Thank you.
Tony, just perhaps we stop for a break first and then see what your comments are on electricity. Sure. Because even though you're a fuel man, presumably...
By the way, Oscar, if we did a quick search in here, maybe everyone apart from Paul, we have a number of a camion for someone in our phones.
or 3. If you only have one number for Kamufu, you're in trouble. Let's stop for a quick break. Welcome back from the break. Paul is telling us to delete all the Kamufu numbers.
And it must be telling the listeners.
Yes. Delete all the Kamufu numbers. So, Tony,
yes,
on electricity, just as I asked you,
so first of all,
social media is working so hard. So I think I'll still give you another 10 minutes at the end of the show. So we have a listener here, Atukunde from Bahrain, says, "Good morning, gang. I'm listening in from Bahrain." Then there's another one who asked you whether you import fuel from Bahrain. You've confirmed that one, so you don't need to go into that one.
No.
But on electricity.
So on electricity, first of all, I'm not going to speak as an expert. I'm more on the oil side, but I'm going to speak as a user. I think I must say, and again, Paul, I think congratulate you. I mean, the times I have called your customer service, they've been responsive.
Wonderful.
And I think
you.
For me that is a good thing. I remember someone noting that they have so many vehicles on the road, so many 1% of the vehicles on the road are UEDCL vehicles. I don't know if that is to support with the responsiveness, but I think as a consumer, I have not had.
Actually, those vehicles, they are taking action on responding to the issues. And the data, they are tracked online 24/7.
Right. Yes. No, so I've had mine has been a positive experience. I think the downside, and I think I said this to you before we got into the studio, is that you took on something that was really crazy. or terrible at the time, and you had to manage it until where you are right now. You're talking of 100%, success rate when it comes to
Cash
collections and so on and so forth. You can imagine if that wasn't the case. I was in Zambia at the beginning of this year, and I happened to interact with some staff from ZESCO, which is the equivalent of UMEME. I'm sorry, UED at the time, not even UEDCL, UED, and you can see how inefficient they are. Massive blackouts every day, and for them it's normal. Stockouts of materials.
Yeah.
You talk to the store guys. The guys say, we just live by the day. I think that is not the case in Uganda, and I think the way we are looking at this electricity sector, it's something worthwhile. But I think the other thing which might not be your area is trying to make this electricity accessible. Accessibility is a super important thing. I was in my village, and now when you're in the village, me or Tony, I'm now seen as I'm not a big man, where I come from. So they're saying now since big people, we want you to get us a transformer here so we can all be on electricity. And what do they want the electricity for? Charging a phone, blasting music. My training center now is a town of its own, and those are the small things that they want. So accessibility is super important for a lot of the people out there. Like I mentioned before, energy poverty is a huge thing in Africa. Same for Uganda, energy poverty. You have almost 15% of the population connected to electricity. The rest are struggling. So the usage of biomass, which is degrading the environment and so on and so forth, becoming the result of all of this. But on a positive note, I think I can say UEDCL, you're doing well. Despite the heat under your seat, you're doing well.
Okay, Abdul?
Thank you very much for sure.
I have had an issue, and I've called Masga before, and he's intervened, and I got it. But I'm sorry, Masga. I've been a policymaker, still I am. So I don't want to. I always want more. I am always yearning for the best. So I'm not going to take the attitude Tony is, and Derek congratulating you and so on. I want to see where is the problem still persisting. That's what I'm interested in. Because you see, the biggest problem in this continent is we seem to be so much living in the comfort zone. Content, and that is okay.
Actually, we're not content.
And I feel so bad. Yeah. I don't know whether I'm a perfectionist or I don't like mediocrity. What I always want to go for the best.
Yeah.
That today my transformer has blown or has a problem. I call UEDCL, and in the next 1 hour there is somebody working on it. Within 2 hours there's a transformer from the store and is on the poles, and within 2-3 hours there is light. That's what I want, because you see, we may have, especially around town here in Kampala, but when you go up country and you've got some sort of snack, it takes some time. And I have a clear case. A transformer which serves my rural home had a problem. I tried to do the district, and I was throwing out my weight around, and according to Tony, we are big men because they see big chicks. And I couldn't.
And big cars,
of course, especially for Tony.
I don't drive a big car.
So eventually, I was so dissatisfied that I said, "But here I am, supposed to be a big man." Yes. So I picked my phone and looked up Mwesugwa here. Said, "What? Excuse me. Let me call you back." He called me back. And I'm telling you, the following day there was a transformer.
Actually, we are driving soon.
Yes.
Where each transformer, we're going to deploy what we call data concentration unit that monitor the performance. Even blowing, we don't want any transformer to blow. Yeah. We've started deploying them in Chitintala as a pilot project. Now we're rolling out in Natete, Budo, up to Masaka side. Because we don't want a customer to tell us our problem. It is we who want to go and examine the problem.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, and now I told the manager, so and so, and there is no, so I have to look for the chief executive because I am Katuntu. And then he said, no, that can't be. And he calls me back. I said, no. And the following day, people were there running around because the chief executive, I think, had placed the call and so on. It's not maybe that there was no transform.
Right.
Because eventually the manager calls and said, by the way, yes, but we're expecting it from Kampala, it delayed, blah, blah, blah. Of course, giving some. But then there it came. So, but if you're a cartoon, it is okay. You can do those, you press those calls. But I'm talking about an area where there aren't cartoons there. And the transformer blows, has a problem, and they take 3 weeks a month, and there's no power. And in that sort of area, you have a small maize mill. It's not about even the job or the income of the maize mill owner, but it is about food.
For the community.
For the community. And there's no power.
I want to interrupt you a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
Dr. Obuku, our regular friend, says, according to UBOS of 2024, the census, Northern Uganda has disproportionately much lower electricity, especially Lango sub-region. Yet access to electricity is crucial to poverty alleviation in water in Northern Uganda. All the projects Paul Mwesiga is talking about are for the south. What are his plans to power Northern Uganda? So that's what you're saying as well.
Yeah.
You as Katuntu, you got your transformer. Maybe Obuku can get, but not his neighbors.
Yeah, so to me, let us not lose out. The point is, in many areas up country, the service level has not been as efficient as may be around the city, where there are many people, and Mr. Mwesiga is aware, there's some big people even disrupting a very, very sensitive service. And so here you've got his staff, the human resource, very responsive to the problems and so on. Up country, there's still a problem. I don't know how prepared you were. For example, this particular case I was talking to you that, for example, if you lost out on it, we lost out on it, a transformer in a particular area. Do you have enough transformers within your stores to make sure that there is a transformer really to be replaced almost immediately? This other issue you are telling us about the service stations and so on, it takes 1 hour. That's very good for policymakers like me. I need to be able to appreciate that sort of thing. But the person who wants this Derek here, who is paying if doesn't want to hear that. He wants his power and he wants his power. So you are supposed to plan that this substation, if I'm going to place an order, then I need to place it in time, such that by the time there is a crisis level, there is a station operating. All these materials, you have them. It's about strategic planning and so on, and investment. Because, Oscar, I've been telling people, this is not social service.
It's commercial service.
We pay you. We pay you for this service. Not only do we pay, but we pay in advance. In advance. Can you imagine? So if I pay in
even
advance,
schedule. You say I want to pay between the 1st and the 5th.
because you get a little bit more. So we pay you.
Is that true?
Yes. Oh, you didn't know that?
At the time that you pay, you get the same rate.
Anyhow,
when you in different bands.
yes. So what you do, we are demanding for what belongs to us. Because if I have paid you in advance, you received my money. Your transformer blows. It takes 3 weeks without being replaced. Does that make economic sense? Not even legal sense. Not even common sense.
Actually,
So what we are thinking, that I cannot pay you, then I start chasing you around. Please, I don't have the service I've paid for.
Right.
That's wrong. And to me, that's why I don't want to go in the comfort zone of congratulating Mr. Mwesiga, who is my friend, because I'll call him when there is a problem. I want him to know that this is what my friend expects of me as an institution.
Yeah.
Because the reason why we are thinking that Umeme okay, we've had enough of Meme, with all the challenges. Some of them you've carried them. If it wasn't a good deal, now we are our own. Do you want more money for investment? We have planned over years to give you some money for investment as a country. You capitalize, you get some money, you invest appropriately. And there is no reason why we can't be an example, Oscar, that we need a Muzungu to be a chief executive to run things properly. That thing, it annoys me. It is so nauseating. Guys, we are all professionals. I'll give you an example, Mr. Mweskwa. Today, one of the institutions everybody is proud of is this Uganda Registration Services Bureau.
I thought you were going to say UNOC.
But soon
you are
it's
good.
going to be UEDCL.
You are good, but there are even other things above being good.
Yeah.
There's excellent. So you need to. You go. Okay, this other institution where you get permits. What is it called? Where you get driving permits?
Minister of Works.
No, there's a.
It's part of Ministry
Okay, it's part of Ministry of Works. You go there. Anybody renewing his driving permit should tell you. It's in, it's out, and so on. Very efficient. You go to immigration. Oh my God! You see, it used to take middlemen in between. There were so many camufus to get a passport. Today, those guys, I think they have gone away. But they had streamlined immigration to get a passport and so on. Everything is so efficient and so. So that's what we want UEDCL to be.
Before you respond, Paul, let's get Josephine as well, and then I see time ebbing away.
No, I am just like Abdu. I would like to make a constructive observation. Turns out that during just before we came on air, Patrick and I were having a conversation. And one of the things was basically me insisting that what exactly are the issues, if you remember, what are the problems that you face? And while Abdu, in very practical sense, is at the center, at the heart of Kampala, mine is from an advocacy perspective, and once in a while, partly because it's Ucheno, I'll be hard. The disclaimer. I said about 8 years ago that I've decided to have a common hairstyle, like my brother Olaro Tunu, when I started shaving off. For the record, and my niece might be listening, she compelled me to begin to shave off smart for the points being raised simply because of electricity. Nagongera, Paul, is one of the towns that had the earliest electricity, but it's a space which is only maybe 30% covered. My home exclusive, I decided that as an environmentalist, as UPC, that I would take solar. But it basically meant that every time I'm home and I want to go and shave, what Oscar was talking about does not work. So once upon a time, my niece told me that, but uncle, why don't you do this? And so I started doing it myself. She initially helped me. So I had to learn to do it. My hairstyle is strictly as a direct result of this power outage issue. When I first returned from exile, I used to go and do my hair somewhere near Uganda House, near Uganda Bookshop. And at the time, I really didn't want to be substantially noticed. Sometimes I would plan, I didn't want to go and wait because I really didn't have the time. But many a time you would call and these guys would tell you that power is gone off here at the heart of Kampala. But Oscar mentioned specific things and I just want to re-repeat them because the electricity thing is not is actually possibly not even a service. It's an essential stuff. The barbers, education, the maize millers. I have several times, including once, very specific, a very big important project on Al Jazeera. I could not go on it because power went off. And I didn't have power in my home. So I missed. And these are guys for whom it's very specific. And getting a new other guest, implications of Ochieno and everything else. And these Ugandan guys are just in the darkness or bushes. Education, Oscar is big on it. When we don't have these, our children suffer. What about the rural spaces? And then finally, just want to say this as a social...
When we don't have, we go to buy fuel for generator.
Indeed,
Now, that fuel, we are worried.
There you go. And as a socialist and the UPC, I'm massively an environmentalist. By the way, Tony and Paul, rural electrification was a UPC project way back in the 60s. So, like my colleagues are saying, this is not a privilege. The idea then was that, well, we need to electrify. Yeah. And apparently in 1984, Obote is on the record, and in fact, Minister Akena Pujok told me this, and you need to know it. A Minister for Power, Post and Telecommunications. Akena told me in London that Obote told him off very badly in 1984. According to him, they were, as a ministry, not meeting the targets for rural electrification, the kind of thing that Obuku was talking about. The idea was basically that we needed to electrify the whole of Uganda. Yeah. In a stage in which now we are looking at environmental issues, I think the Environment Agency is going to be coming here one of these days. It's extremely important that not only do we push the point that Abdul is talking about access, meaning rural electrifying Uganda fully, but as somebody who worked and managed local government at a reasonable level elsewhere abroad, I find it very strange that, as Abdul says, a community can have no electricity for 1 week, for 2 weeks, and for 3 weeks.
Thank you, Joseph.
So, you, whoever the regulators are, the kind of things that you're raising, they're quite clearly commonsensical. Put it on the table that these are the things that we want, and we will support you guys to make sure that you get the resources for it.
They sometimes you make such a good presentation and then you spoil it by throwing in UPC.
Depending on who is listening.
and today you are seated at the NRM end because I thought we were going to have an apolitical show. No politics in it.
But you could see how fantastically it was apolitical, except that the UPC was purely context.
So, Roy in Budo says, good news to hear Paul speaking about Budo. We have more power cuts apparently due to overload. When you are going to install those transformers, do you also look at distribution? Do you look at population as well, numbers, in addition to Buku's question earlier?
Yeah, for sure. Let me now go to the specific of some projects. What we've done is to analyze the load of different areas. There are some critical feeders which we are seeing in red, double red. For example, the feeder supplying from Mutunwe to Masaka, including Budon, Sanji, Chengera, red. But the message to our population there, we have signed a contract to rebuild.
When you say red, what do you mean?
The line is overloaded.
Okay.
And jumpers gives way each and every time it reaches a certain capacity. But what we've done is we signed a contract to rebuild the line from Mutunwe substation to Masaka, times 2 of the load. The same contract has been signed to rebuild the line from Mutunwe to Mitiana, because times 2. Why? Because our customers in Natete, Bulenga, up to Mitiana, they were actually seriously suffering. Then Nakauka and Bunamwaya were also doing some good construction work, and the contractor is on the ground. So we've come in now to invest. On the issue of transformers, we've signed agreements with 6 manufacturers of transformers in Uganda.
And they are local.
The good message I have to give, we've embarked on Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. We are here to create jobs for Ugandans. The objective as a government company, we want to reduce the number of people boarding planes to go and look for green pastures out of the country, because the green pastures are found here. So we've signed agreements with suppliers of transformers, and now we are saying stocks are coming in. The good thing, the agreements we've signed, they are for 18-month supply period. And our stocks are being filled as they do manufacture. I think of recent, we no longer have big stockouts for transformers, although there are some other accessories which come overseas where you don't have local manufacturers. The same concept that we've deployed for meters. Since we took over, we've connected 236 new customers. Mitwalo Abiri mwesatu mukakaga new customers on
They
the
seem
grid.
few.
They
That's
seem
such a
few,
small
but
number.
many, because since Memorial,
That is like a 1 year.
1 year.
But the
Since
year before.
the year before we took over,
The year before, how many were connected?
about
So that we know the percentage increase.
about 90,000. Because before we took over 2.4 million customers. For how many years has Uganda been in existence? And if you can connect 230, the equivalent 10%.
But even the population was not as big.
No, but it is. But it is something Tony Ottawa talked about as well. That we are. But continue very.
No,
quickly
there is a
because,
progress.
There is a good progress.
but we
very
can't
small
say-
progress.
We're not yet there.
Yeah.
Actually, our target is to make annual connection in minimum 300,000. Now, what have we done? We've signed agreements for supply of meters up to the next 18 months. What you want to do, that if you apply for a connection, within 3 to 4 days, you have to be connected without failure, having passed the inspection, and the wiring of the home is fine. So we are gradually
Because I
entering
want to
into
phase you out for now, but I don't know, you also need to do a little bit of research. A lot of Ugandans, rural Ugandans,
Yes.
are now going to they go and buy solar, 2 panels, 1 battery, TV, lights, and phone charging. And that's what they are living on. And,
for
and
sure, it
if
is true.
Women had
because-
such packages,
because of the access.
if UEDCL had such packages,
Because of the access where there's no grid.
yeah.
But where the grid has reached, at least customers are coming into the grid, because even solar is much more expensive to maintain and replacement. So are we going to go in off-grid activities? Since we've just entered into the distribution space, currently there's a player under off-grid.
You've just entered into the retail space. You've always been distributors.
Grid.
the grid.
Oh,
Talking
grid.
about
Okay,
the
grid power.
We are in the grid retail, but retail for off-grid. We're not yet there, but we are partnering with the Uganda UEDCL, Uganda Electricity. Sorry, the thing has gone off my head. And the Minister of Energy. So that's what we are partnering with. So our main emphasis now is to make sure that if the grid is near you, we connect. We give you a no-pole and one-pole service. And the beauty, we've secured funding for new connections, a no-pole service and a one-pole service. You just need to pay 30,000 only.
So
23,600.
Yes. Give me
poles?
something.
No.
Give me something,
I thought
because I want to
poles
invite you
would be
again.
babies.
Yeah, I want to give the last 5 minutes to UNOC, but I want to invite you again in 2 months' time.
Yes.
So give us a target that we can start with when we get you back in 2 months' time. Honorable Katonto will be here. So within 1 year, you want 300,000 connections only. That means if you divide that by 12, will you have met the month's connections?
We shall
In
meet.
2 months, you shall meet.
For
So,
sure.
Okay. That's you. I'll give you 1 minute
The
at the
demand
end
is there.
for conclusion. So I have here Michael says to Tony Ottawa that you are talking about what you do not know. Tell Tony that the Zambian situation is a result of a 2-year drought, the worst in 40 years, that has impacted power generation, not inefficiency in distribution. That's to you. And then we had Paul in Kampala says he's a bit more drastic. He says Vivo Energy increased fuel prices by 6% in March. Government is proposing a 200 shilling increase in fuel in the next budget. It is not unreasonable to expect a further fuel increase in April as the war wages on. So if you run a fuel-dependent business like a distribution business, you'll probably have to close it at the end of April. You conclude with those comments, touching on us.
I can see where he's coming from. The sense of panic or fear, but I wouldn't say that it is something to make you close a business. I think we all know that you have to just keep moving on. I remember in the 70s when there was no fuel at all, zero fuel in the country. Remember when Idi Amin was seen riding his bicycle on the streets and assuring the people. We're not at that point. We're at a very, very good point. So again, it shouldn't be a sense for worry. About this Zambia situation, yes, of course, there was, drought, but I mean, among that, because I was working with ZESCO personally, and that was one of the issues. But ultimately, I think on the fuel issue in Uganda, I just want to state that we have enough stock in the country.
Okay.
We have enough stock.
So if I invite you back in May and you come walking,
I will come and give you an update. No.
Because you have nothing in the car.
No, I will be giving you a good update, hopefully.
Either comes walking.
Conclusions,
or
beginning with you, Abdul.
Complaining about the pump price.
Absolutely.
So go on now, your minute of conclusion, Abdul, on the two topics.
Well, I'm happy to have these two gentlemen here today. One, as institutions, I think they are doing well. There is no doubt about it. But having said that, there is still room for improvement. What, especially with the Mr. Mweswa here, one, our people want power as and when they need it.
Which is now.
Especially when they have paid for it. You know, if you go and say, I'm going to buy sugar, you paid for it, and takes a week without sugar in your bowl, then you
Derek,
will be happy.
Your minute, Derek.
I think we need to understand that we are asking and asking for a report card of 1 year. We are not asking for a report card of 20 years or 10 years from UEDCL. So even when we are demanding for more, let's put in context that, hey, these guys have been here for exactly 1 year. They made 1 year now, and 2 days, 3 days. So it's for me, I feel
You know when they are formed?
I know they have been here, but we are comparing the achievements of 25 years of Umeme to 1 year of UEDCL. So we need to be realistic.
And maybe on that note,
UEDCL was the owner.
And maybe on that note of report cards, I want also to report that UNOC was the most profitable entity in the country, according to the Auditor General's report, with over 350 billion profit made for the country. So I think that is a fantastic
People are using their minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
As an institution, you guys have done pretty well.
Absolutely.
But for us, want more.
And as I've told the listeners, if Tony comes walking next week,
maybe he can depend.
Your 1 minute.
It can depend on Nagongera bicycle. But look, I'm a fundamental believer in the role of the state. I'm a socialist, as it were. So really, profit being made by state companies, absolutely fine. Also, fundamentally opposed to Umeme. I'm completely opposed to the idea of selling Uganda Commercial Bank. I'm totally opposed to the idea of profit, from our people going to other people. Very, very clear about it. But
government can do business.
Government can do business
and do it profitably.
And government did business before. Also, elsewhere governments do businesses, and there's no reason why our governments don't do. I just really hope that the grid is extended. My fridge does not get lost anyhow, and I don't lose money, because once people in the villages in darkness must
Thank you, Joseph. Final word for Paul.
Thank you very much. Government-led is the business we're doing now. Government-led with commercial sense. We believe that as a government company, we cannot provide a service when you don't have money. So we have to make money and give a service. And that's the journey we are moving.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, the listeners of the Capital Gang. Thank you, Star Cafe. Tony, I wonder whether you managed to get some of the bites of Star Cafe. Don't resort to your chapati. Pardon? He has done a good job. You don't need the chapati in the pocket. Thank you, Joseph Ocheno. Thank you, Derek Wandera. Thank you, Paul Mwesigwa of UEDCL. Thank you, our listeners, and Star Cafe for powering the gang. Happy Easter to you all. I am Oscar Semoyamsoke, and I did say thank you, Yes. I am Oscar Semoyamsoke, and I shall see you next week.